every day here on Astro AWANI. Catch me every weeknights at 10:30 p.m. across all AWANI platforms.
Daulah Tuanku.
PM mengumumkan yuran pendaftaran Universiti Awam dihadkan tak lebih daripada RM1,500.
Kes kemasukan ke hospital meningkat 2 kali ganda akibat jerbu.
Dan difahamkan sekurang-kurangnya 8 wartawan terbunuh dan 2 lagi hilang dalam serangan udara Israel ke atas Gaza.
Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The Defence Ministry has clarified that only teenagers born in 2007 will be called for the National Service Training Programme, the PLKN, if it is to be implemented by next year. According to the ministry, trainees would be chosen according to their year of birth, and the maximum age of participation is 35.
If selected trainees are unable to participate in the national service training for certain reasons, the ministry said they could apply for deferment. PLKN was first introduced as a 3-month program in 2004, but was abolished in 2018. Last month, Defence Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan announced the revival of PLKN, targeting youths who have completed their Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examinations. However, confusion arose after the ministry said the program would target those aged between 16 and 35.
Transport Minister Anthony Loke said that the Malaysian government will honour all contracts signed under the previous administration. In an interview with Bloomberg, the DAP Secretary General stressed to investors that the government will honour all contracts regardless of any future government changes. According to Loke, what the country wants to impress upon is that Malaysia will stick to the rule of law. The constant change of government since 2020 has resulted in policy changes that affected major infrastructure projects, such as the proposed high-speed rail HSR with Singapore and the East Coast Rail Link ECRL project. On the HSR, Loke had said the government intended to revive the project under a new financing model with the involvement of private companies. As for the ECRL project, he said the government has decided not to make any changes to the alignment that was set by the previous administration, as it would be too disruptive and too much cost for the government to pay. The Palestinian Ambassador to Malaysia, Walid Abu Ali, said Malaysia plays a significant role in encouraging other countries, especially in Asia, to show support for Palestinians. He also reminded people that the Palestinians are not fighting a religious war, but are resisting Israel's oppression of their people.
Malaysia is an influential country, that they could play a role to get those who do not believe in supporting Palestine within ASEAN, for example, to show their support to Palestine. International community, Malaysia has excellent relationship and respected by the international community. They can play a role in encouraging more countries to show their support to Palestine. And let me make it clear, in Malaysia, I'm proud to say that I know how much Malay are very great supporters to the Palestinian cause, but other minorities in Malaysia are great supporters as well, and we appreciate what they are doing. I was invited to MCA headquarters, and I've seen the president, and I was interviewed by the MCA youth channel, and I've shared my views. Please understand, our struggle in Palestine is not a religious struggle. our struggle in Palestine against Israel, not against the Jew.
While it informed that the Palestinian Embassy and the My Aqsa Foundation have compiled evidence for the NGO to submit a report to the International Criminal Court (ICC) Prosecutor's Office on the ongoing atrocities committed by Israel in Gaza. While it also commended the public's commitment to boycotting businesses and products allegedly linked to Israel, he said the action plays a significant role in increasing awareness and expressing a firm stance against the atrocities committed by Israel towards the people of Palestine.
I do encourage Malaysians, Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims, all those who believe in human rights, all those who believe in democracy, just to do their minimum of boycotting all the support which goes to Israel. Israelis are benefiting out of so many brands which is all over the world. But I think lately, during the last 3 weeks, economically, if you look through Google, you could witness how much they were affected. And this could be a pressure on the present Israeli government, who practice terrorism against Palestine, just to realize that what they are doing affect their economy as well.
The death toll from Israeli attacks in Gaza has risen to over 9,200 as the Israeli military says it has surrounded Gaza City. This is now the deepest that Israeli forces have been inside Gaza since 2005. Israel also continued its deadly airstrikes on Gaza, hitting the vicinity of the Al-Quds hospital, which shelters 14,000 displaced Palestinians, including injured and sick patients. A dozen cancer patients have died since the only hospital treating cancer patients in Gaza was forced to shut down after running out of fuel, while the ministry reported 16 of 35 hospitals in Gaza are out of service. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv on Friday, making it his third trip to Israel in recent weeks. Blinken said he would seek concrete measures from Israel to ensure that harm to Palestinian civilians is reduced, even as the U.S. resists calls for a ceasefire. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a Republican plan to provide $14.3 billion in aid to Israel amid Tel Aviv's ongoing invasion of the Gaza Strip. But the legislation is unlikely to clear the Senate, controlled by the Democrats.
The measure passed 226 to 196, largely along party lines, a shift from typical strongly bipartisan congressional support for providing aid to Israel. The bill's introduction was the first major legislative action under new Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson. But because it combined aid for Israel with a cut to the Internal Revenue Service and left out aid for Ukraine, President Joe Biden promised a veto. Biden had earlier asked Congress to approve a broader $106 billion emergency spending package that includes funding for Israel, Taiwan and Ukraine, as well as humanitarian aid.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Asking the tough questions is what we do every day here on Astro AWANI. Catch me every weeknights at 10:30 p.m. across all AWANI platforms.
Welcome back. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been found guilty of fraud and money laundering following a month-long trial in New York. The 31-year-old's sentence was set for March 28th next year, where he now faces decades in prison.
A 12-member jury convicted Bankman-Fried on all 7 counts after just 4 hours of deliberations on Thursday. Bankman-Fried had pleaded not guilty to all the charges, maintaining that he had acted in good faith despite making mistakes. Previously hailed as the king of crypto, he was arrested last year after his firm FTX went bankrupt. Prosecutors had accused him of lying to investors and lenders, while stealing billions of dollars from the cryptocurrency exchange, contributing to its collapse. 3 of his former close friends and colleagues pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against him in hopes of reducing their own sentences, to be set at a later date.
Air quality in New Delhi hit severe levels on Friday, covering India's capital city in a thick layer of toxic smoke. Schools were ordered to shut for 2 days, and most non-essential construction has been banned as the city's air quality index hit 500, the ceiling for the measurement. Home to some 30 million people, Delhi is regularly ranked the most polluted city in the world. Most recently, residents in the city have complained of irritation in the eyes and itchy throats. Smog forms over the city every winter as cold, heavy air traps construction dust, vehicle emissions and smoke from crop burnings in neighboring states. Attention on the worsening air quality has cast a shadow over the Cricket World Cup hosted by India, while financial capital Mumbai has also suffered from a spike in pollution levels. An air quality index of 0 to 50 is considered good, while anything between 400 to 500 can affect the health of people while endangering those with existing diseases. The government aims to eradicate hardcore poverty by this year, but is this goal achievable with existing effort and initiatives? We asked Professor Dr. Suhaiza Hani Muhammad Zailani from University Malaya's Unku Aziz Center for Development Studies.
Based on the data given, we have about 114,000 hardcore poor as of, I think, in August 2023. So if we believe that these numbers can be reduced within a year, of course, we have to strategize on how we are doing it, right? 114,000 is not a small number, it's very big, right? Of course, if we put the concerted effort from all the agencies, from the NGOs, from the corporates, as well as the individuals, right? If we have a good holistic ecosystems, to go and initiate initiatives towards the poverty eradication, I don't think that it would be impossible. It's possible. Moving towards the initiatives that government has done, of course, we need to be sure that those initiatives must be not to be done isolated. It seems that, whatever that we are doing now, it seems that every agency will have their own kind of programs in terms of poverty eradications. So it's a bit isolated. So we need to be sure that the more comprehensive and holistic kind of programs targeting specific groups of the marginalized people that need to have the programs from the government. So in fact, if we look at the issues of the the regional disparities, right? So that in urban setting versus the rural setting, of course, the issues is always there. So what the strategies that we need to do is to make sure that whatever best to suit into the regional areas, right? If we talk about urban, what would be the best initiatives? If we talk about the rural area, because people are different, locations are different, and the context of dealing with the poverty eradication would be a bit different, yeah?
Suhaiza also stressed the need to move away from looking at poverty just based on income and consider other socio-economic factors as well.
So the income is not anymore accurate to define about this poverty. People are not going to school. People are not getting sufficient access to the health. People are not getting fair treatment in terms of education, also in terms of health. So these are also could be considered as the poverty. If they're not getting good educations, 11 years, for example. So we also can consider them to be part of this, group of poverty, right? But again, of course, everything will becomes after the income. So, eventually we'll go back to income, but the equations of having only one dimension, it won't be sufficient anymore, right? And moving towards the high income nations, moving towards the, high income society, of course, there are more and more that we need to look into.
One of the ways to tackle the problem of drug and substance use and abuse among Malaysian youth is through a balance of empathy, enforcement and education. On It's About Youth tonight, Ashwin Tin from Solace Asia and Wan Muhammad Karami Wan Kamil from the Anti-Drug Squad of the National Anti-Drugs Agency, AADK, discuss ways around the drug abuse dilemma.
Noticing the change of behavior of a youth, me myself, an anti-drug squad under AADK itself, this is one of our aim or objective to identify our peers or our friends that have the change of behaviors. So we can ask them, we can comfort them, and we can provide a comfort space for them to tell everything about their life.
In Malaysia, we need to sort of move away from punitive approaches where somebody might be using substances and then we put them in prison. Right? What happens when you put someone in prison? There's prison overcrowding. 60% of the prison population today in Malaysia are therefore non-violent minor drug offences.
Catch the full conversation tonight at 10:30 p.m. only on Astro AWANI.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.